Jersey's own Zach Gelb. Or maybe it's Pennsylvania. Anyhow, it's one of the two, I'm pretty sure. The Zach Gelb Show continues on Fox Sports 920 The Jersey.
All right, welcome back in. Football Friday, but we'll do a little baseball talk right now on the Zach Gelb Show. 4:15 is the time right now in our Princeton Orthopedic Associates studios. Number, as always, 609-919-9200. And we bring on one of my all-time favorite guests, and that is the 2008 World Series championship manager of the Philadelphia Phillies, and that's Charlie Manuel, to talk about the end of an era as Ryan Howard will play his final game as a Philadelphia Philly this Sunday versus the New York Mets. And the skip joins us right now, and Charlie Manuel. Charlie, thanks for a few minutes. Always an honor to talk to you, and how are you?
Yeah, it's great talking to you, man. I'm doing great. I was waiting for you to call me because I wanted to talk about Mr. Howard.
Well, there we go. That's what we do. We always deliver for one Charlie Manuel. But let me ask you this, because it's probably going to be a sentimental, bittersweet weekend for you, seeing one of your players' time come and go with the Philadelphia Phillies. What are some memories that come back to mind about Ryan Howard and the time you spent with him?
I can sit here and tell you about a whole lot about his career and everything. And, like my memories of how he hit the ball in the playoffs and how he hit the day in Colorado when he told us to get him up to the plate. And he was about, if I'm not mistaken, we definitely had to get some guys on to get him up there. And he stepped up and delivered, hit a double, and it was 2 outs in the ninth, and in the top of the ninth, and we came back and got 4 straight hits and came back and we raced a 3-run lead and ended up winning the game. And that's one of them, but there's many more that, like I remember in Matt Stires' home run, Ryan, he got a big hit behind in the count off a hole and kept that inning going. And that enabled us to get down, and we sent Stires up to pinch hit and he hit a 3-run homer. And he had a big time at bat that night. And I can remember some of his long home runs. I can remember his hits and stuff from like the 7th inning on. Like when the game was on the line, I always wanted him up there. He was a guy back in those days that knocked in the big runs. That's kind of why I call him the Big Piece.
Well, he was a superstar. There's no question about it, and he played an instrumental role in bringing that World Series championship to Philadelphia. But you know him both on and off the field, and sometimes with these superstars, you get egotistical superstars that are bad guys. You know that wasn't the case with Ryan Howard. How much more fun as a manager does it make it when you have a superstar and he's also a really good dude?
Rhino, I'll tell you something. Ryan Howard would, even though he might get upset at something I say or something like that, he was always very professional, and he always had respect for me. And he was a team leader, and he never complained about anything. And all the way up until when he had his right before that he had his Achilles injury, he never would ever go in the training room. He always wanted to play every day. And if I tried to rest him against a lefty like Randy Johnson or somebody like that, he would tell me, he said, Charlie, I want to play against that guy. I can handle him. And that's who he was. And he was a big leader on our team, but also, too, he was a tremendous guy.
Take me back to the beginning. When was the first time you met Ryan Howard, and what did you think the first time you saw him swing the baseball bat?
First time I met him was when I first came over here. And to be with the Phillies, it was in 2003. He was in spring training, and I was in spring training with the Major League team, and I would go over and watch the minor leagues play. And I walked over there one day and was watching minor league games, and Pettit was pitching for the Yankees. I think that's why I went over there. I wanted to see Pettit pitch in one of those games. And first time up, Ryan hit a home run to left center off of Pettit. And that's when I first met him. And I asked him, I said, who's that kid that just hit the ball? And somebody told me Ryan Howard. And that's when I first met him, went over and started talking to him. And then later on, when their season opened up, I was down in Clearwater when their season opened up. In the first 2 innings, he made 2 real good plays at first base. But before that, in the first inning, he also hit a long home run to left center. And from that day on, from the time I saw him that year, I knew he was going to be a good big league player.
You know that with Ryan Howard, and right now also in Philadelphia, everyone's going crazy about the young kid, the quarterback in Carson Wentz. But when Ryan Howard was that sensation early on in his career in 2005, he played in 88 games, won the Rookie of the Year, and then the next year he backed it up with a .313 average, 58 home runs, and 149 RBIs. You got to see him play every day. In his early years, just what made him so successful so quickly on the big league stage?
If you watch him hit, he was a what I call picturesque hitter. He was a technique hitter. Chase Utley's a technique hitter, but he's a big Chase Utley, and he was a technique hitter. And he didn't overswing. He didn't swing out of control. He always had a smooth, quick pass to the ball, and he was a balanced rhythm hitter. And actually, once he started getting injuries, that's when he started having his problems, of course. But at the same time, I would say if you go back and look at his numbers for about 4 or 5 years there, he was you could argue that he was the best hitter in the National League, and maybe in baseball.
You know that era of Phillies baseball, it's synonymous with the guys in the infield, Jimmy Rollins, Chase Utley, Ryan Howard. I have those numbers in front of me. The homers, 58, 47, 48, 45, 31, 33. That's an incredible stretch with many prodigious home runs. This is going to be a tough question, Charlie, and it's going to be like asking you who's your favorite son, but who was the most valuable out of those three players? Jimmy Rollins, Chase Utley, or Ryan Howard?
You know what? That's a very tough question. And all three of them were different kind of players, if you stop and think. And I think all three of them had the right makeup and the right kind of attitude, and that's one reason why all three of them were so good. And Howard was our carrier. I'm not going to say that he was the best one of all, but he was. And I mean, a carrier. Carrier is usually the guy that puts you on your back, and he's the guy. He's the guy that knocked into 140 runs. He's the guy that knocked into 150 runs. He's the guy that hit the 40 and 58 homers and things like that. And it's hard for me to overlook the fact of what he did. So, he ranks, that is a tough question, but like I said, he's our carrier, and he would be known probably at the time as our big producer. And he was probably, from our team, he was probably our famous hitter.
I thought he was the most important, and it's definitely tough to choose as we're talking to Charlie Manuel. But talking about that trio, what was the best part about being the manager for those three guys? And also, was there anything tough about being the manager for those three guys? Absolutely.
I can tell you this. We had a lot of talent on our team. Our team was very talented, but our desire and our love for the game, and and we like to play. And actually, our new ballpark and also the fans have played a big part in the electricity and the interest of our team. And I think that all those things came about, but our players definitely were the ones that did the playing, and I always gave them credit for playing. And they were the ones that scored the runs. They the ones that won the game. And when I look at it, sometime we had a tremendous bunch of guys. How hard was it to manage them? Easiest teams I ever had, by far.
Especially with the results that you guys had on the field. And really, it didn't matter how many games you guys were back. That was evident in 2007 and 2008. You guys just found a way. Why was that team so resilient? What was about that team specifically that no matter how many games they were out, they just found a way?
I think it gets back to attitude and also makeup of our club, makeup of we had different kind of characters. But we had great makeup, we had great chemistry, and we had a whole lot of talent. And we didn't have a lot of problems. And we came to the ballpark. We all came early every day, and we came to win that game on that day. And that's the way we played. And I think that's how we could come back when we got behind. And and also I think we definitely with the filling the ballpark up every day meant a whole lot too, because our fans didn't let us lay down and things like that. But I give it a character on the team, in the fact that how much they wanted to play, and we wanted to win. We definitely didn't think about losing.
Now, going back to Ryan's earlier years in baseball, it was with Jim Thome also on the member of the Philadelphia Phillies. Jim had some injuries, as we all know, and that's well documented. How was the relationship between Jim and Ryan, though, in those earlier days of Ryan Howard's career?
If you put them together, you wouldn't believe it, because both of them have a lot of respect for one another, and they were actually they loved to talk to one another, and they were close. And it was just too bad that we had two guys who had such a big time bat. And one of them definitely Ryan Howard was the youngest one, and when it all was said and done, one of them was going to have to go, and of course the Phillies chose to keep the youngest player, and of course Tommy moved on and kept his career going right away, and Ryan Howard, he became the big piece for us.
Charlie Manuel with us on the Zach Gelb Show, Fox Sports 920, the Jersey. So, Charlie, we've seen a lot of players come and go in Philadelphia. That's the nature of the business. Cole Hamels no longer here. Chooch left this year. We said goodbye to Chase Utley. You also said goodbye to Jimmy Rollins. This was the last piece of that championship team. Is this at all a sad weekend for you, knowing that was the last guy from that era to be on the Phillies?
Yeah, I think Ryan's the last guy, and I think that shows that the changes that is made in baseball, and a lot of times the changes that has to be made. And I think I think if you involved in the game, days like that's going to come. But at the same time, people say the memories and things like that. I think when I was managing the Phillies and we were winning, I didn't have time to sit around and really think about a whole lot of things. I wanted to stay focused on our team and things. But now that I'm not on the field today, tomorrow or Sunday, I should say, it's going to be, it'll be a little sad for me, because I did have a lot of passion for my players, and I've always pulled for every one of them, and of course Ryan will be the last guy there.
Will you be at the stadium this weekend to say goodbye to Ryan in a Phillies uniform?
No, I won't. I'm sorry that I can't be there. Right now I'm in Buena Vista, Virginia, a place where I grew up, and I'm going to this high school Hall of Fame for athletes tonight. And then Sunday morning I'm going to Winter Haven, and on Monday I'm going right down to the Instructional League. I was supposed to be in the Instructional League about a week ago.
Let me ask you this, talking about the Instructional League. I saw Tim Tebow hit a home run the other day. What are your thoughts about Tim Tebow trying to be a baseball player?
I think it's okay. I think he's going to have to play some, and he'll see. I think Tebow's been a guy definitely knows how to stay in shape, get in shape. He's seemed like a very dedicated guy. He's had great success in other sport, of course, football. And I watched him hit. He looked like he swung the bat pretty good. He kind of, he likes to kind of swing up on the ball and get underneath it. But at the same time, too, I think he definitely I saw some bat speed there. And it's going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to following him, and and hopefully, hopefully he can get going, and and see if he can his career don't progress into a major league player.
Charlie Manuel with us. Charlie, let's get back to those Phillies teams of yours. A lot of people, they'll take a look back at that era. They're very appreciative of the one World Series that you guys did win, but some fans say, hey, that team probably should have won another World Series or maybe one more after that. To me, I just don't believe sometimes fans appreciate the moment, and in 10, 15 years, people will look back at that era of Phillies baseball and say, wow, just winning one World Series was something that was a big-time accomplishment. How tough is it? Can you just explain that? Because fans aren't there on an everyday basis and see the behind-the-scenes things. Can you just explain how tough it is just to win one World Series?
Yeah, Joe Torre and I used to talk about that every time I'd seen. And just to win your division 5 times in a row, that's real tough. And to go to the 2 World Series, it's tough. And people don't understand that. They don't know what they forget and understand. Most people are pulling so hard for their team, and they think sometimes just because they get in the playoff that they're supposed to go to the World Series and win. But there's 2 teams playing there, and Atlanta Braves. Atlanta Braves had 14 in a row. Bobby Cox, he won one World Series. I think he went to 2 or 3. He went to 3, I think, and he won 1. And in 14 years, they won 14 straight divisions. And that right there tells you how hard it is. A lot of times they didn't get by the first round. But I will tell you this: the playoffs that we went in, we against the Yankees. I felt like I felt like the Yankees played better baseball than we did. We made mistakes, and at the same time too, it would have been nice to have Hamels for that series, and that definitely would have made me feel a little bit better. But the one that really got to me was Uribe's home run. It landed into the right field stands. It sent us home when the Giants beat us. I felt like what happened there was, the game was real close, and a guy just happened to swing a bat and hit a ball hard, and we lost the game. And that might have been the toughest one of all. Could we have won more World Series? Yeah, we might have won another one or two. But at the same time, we just didn't do enough to win those World Series once we got there.
Earlier you were talking about some Ryan Howard memories. Is there just one that maybe some fans may not remember, or just one that really sticks out to you and you say, hey, that's my favorite Ryan Howard memory out of them all?
I got to say, actually, I seen him all through the playoffs and the series. The home runs he hit in the playoffs and series were big, but the one I really remember that kind of sticks with me is in Cincinnati when he was real sick and he was laying on the table. He was laying on a training table. He'd been to the hospital that night. He was throwing up, and he had a high fever, and he's laying there, and we were losing the game. In the start of the ninth inning, we're down by 1 run, and I tell somebody to go up there and ask Ryan to come down to the tunnel. And when he came down, I asked him, could he hit? And he looked at me and he goes, Charlie, if you want me to, I will. Hey, look, Chuck, I feel so bad or something. That's kind of what I got. But he said, but if you want me to hit, I will. And I told him, I said, I want you to hit. And he went up, got his bat, of course, and he walked up, and left-hand pitcher. There was a count there. I forget what the count was, but anyway, he hit a home run off to the left. He tied the game up, dead center field, and he hit it a long ways. Well, when after he hit the home run, he's in the dugout when the inning's over, the game's tied, and I tell him, I said, go play first base. And he kind of stood there and looked at me. And then he got his glove and he went and played first base. He came up in the 12th inning, hit another home run off of another lefty, and we won the game. And
wow.
Every time I think about it, it sticks in my mind.
So last one for you about Ryan before we let you run and you go enjoy your weekend and the good stuff that you're doing on this trip. You knew that this guy was going to be a good player like you told us the first time you saw him. Did anything surprise you about him as a baseball player, though, when you got to see him finally come up to the big leagues and play for a few years?
Let me tell you something. They asked me the second year when he was the year after his rookie year. The media used to ask me all the time, do you think Ryan Howard will hit 300 in his career? And I said, yes, I do. I said, I think that Ryan Howard has a nice balance swing at the plate, and he's got a nice smooth, easy swing, and he's got a notorious power. And I said, yeah, I think that he'll hit 300 before his career's over. But he hit 300 that year, and how he hit 300 with a number of home runs and RBIs, yeah, that sticks out to me. Yes.
Well, Charlie, we appreciate the time. Enjoy the weekend and the trip that you're on right now, and let's get you on again real soon. I appreciate it, my friend.
All right, anytime, man. That's good.
Thank you so much. There's Charlie Manuel joining us on the Zach Gelb Show, Fox Sports 920, The Jersey. Always love talking to him. I never thought I would say that, though, growing up as a New York Mets fan, but Charlie Manuel, just such a good interview, really has great stories. You look back at that era of Phillies baseball, as much as I was made fun of as a kid with some friends in Pennsylvania, me being a Mets fan, going to sleepaway camp with a lot of them, getting tormented by those kids for my Mets teams, just choking each and every year. You look back at that era, though, of Phillies baseball, you would beg to go on one of those rides. You really would. Same thing like what's happening right now with the Eagles. You take just one Super Bowl, even though people's minds are in 9,000 different places with expectations now because of the first 3 games of Carson Wentz. Fans sometimes don't appreciate the present, and it takes 10, 15 years to really appreciate it. There's a lot of people that When they think about that era of the Phillies, they think, oh, the Phillies should have won more than one World Series. You may be right. But just to win one is an accomplishment. Now, with Ryan Howard, if you were to write it up, have a story, make a movie out of it, this is not the way that you want it to end. His last few years, he's not been great. We know that. But that run of 58 home runs, 47, 48, 45, 31, 33, that's prodigious home run after prodigious home run. This weekend, you say goodbye to Ryan Howard. If you're a Philadelphia Phillies fan, you get to the ballpark this weekend, no matter what the elements are. Tickets aren't costing you a fortune. You know that. The team's not competitive. But you get to the stadium and do your job as a fan to say goodbye to Ryan Howard. Because this was someone that brought you a World Series championship, brought you great memories if you're a fan of the Philadelphia Phillies. And that era is now officially over. You could say it's been over for a few years, but in terms of a player that you could go watch from those teams, it's over after this Sunday. Jimmy Rollins, no longer here. Chase Utley, no longer here. Cole Hamels, no longer here. Brad Lidge, no longer here. Chooch, no longer here. Ryan Howard was that last man standing. Was it pretty at the end? No. Did despicable things happen at the end, like that bozo that threw a beer bottle at him? Yeah, that happened. It wasn't pretty. But still, this was someone in his prime of his career that was sensational. That's why I wanted to hear the answer from Charlie Manuel of who was the most important to that team. I knew he wasn't going to answer it, but his answer really tells you the story. His answer, Ryan was the carrier because Ryan was the guy that hit 40-plus home runs, drove in over 100 RBIs. Those numbers meant so much to the Phillies. Sure, Chase Utley may have been the hardest worker. Jimmy Rollins may have been the MVP of the National League. But the most important to that team, I believe it was Ryan Howard. Because he was the superstar. He was the guy that would hit those long home runs. Drive in almost 140-plus RBIs. That was the guy. So this weekend, do your job as a fan. Even though it wasn't a smooth ride at the end, you didn't ride off into the sunset like a Peyton Manning did, even though Peyton didn't perform well last year, but bring another championship. But this was still someone that meant so much to your franchise. And I have so much confidence that the fans will do their job this weekend. And when they say, now at the plate, number 6, first baseman, Ryan Howard, the fans will get up, they'll clap their hands, and they'll give Ryan a standing ovation for one final time in a Philadelphia Phillies uniform. This is the Zach Gelb Show, Fox Sports 920, the Jersey, 609-919-9200. We'll take a quick break. When we get back, we got to talk some betting. We got to win you some money. Show me the money! Andre Lawrence, our very own Vegas expert, will join us next. We got NFL picks and college picks still to come on the Zach Gelb Show. Time right now in the Princeton Orthopedic Associates Studios, 4:39.